welcome to Season 2, Episode 10 of KittyCatGO Live, where we discuss various topics related to traveling and adventuring with your cat. I'm your host, Emily Hall, and tonight we're chatting about show cats. Showing cats is a unique adventure for purebred and house cats alike that involves a lot of training, traveling, and handling. And my guest for the evening is going to tell us all about it. If you're watching with us tonight or on the replay, be sure to say hello in the comments and tell us where you're watching from. Questions are encouraged along the way as well. Let's go ahead and dive in. Our guest for the evening is Amelia Evans. Amelia has lived with cats her whole life and has 10 years of experience working in the pet industry. But everything changed when she adopted a little black Persian named Plush from her favorite rescue. Raising Plush led her into the world of cat shows, cat grooming, cat health, and welfare issues, and eventually to a career as a cat exclusive groomer, professional cat sitter, and cat content creator at lifeandcats.com. 7 of her cats participate in the cat show world, 5 of which hold titles. 4 are regional winners, and Trina was actually first in the Tika Region 1 in 2021, and 1 is an agility winner. Emilia and her daughter regularly travel up and down the East Coast with 3 to 4 cats to attend cat shows. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Emilia on.
Hello.
Hey. Thank you so much for being here tonight, and I'm looking forward to learning all about cat
My favorite
shows.
topic.
Well, that's perfect then. All right, so let's kick things off by you telling us about yourself and your cats. I know I shared a little bit about you already, but tell us some more about your cats and what you do.
I got started with Plush. Just I don't know. I guess you adopt a Persian and just assume he's supposed to be a show cat. I got him from a rescue. I have no idea what his background was. He was abandoned in a foreclosure, and as soon as they posted him on the website, I called his foster and I said, he's mine. And so she said, sure, come get him after work. So I volunteer there. So, and I had been to a couple of shows locally just because I love cats, and that why wouldn't you? And so I just assumed, oh, well, I guess I'll just bring him. And I adopted him the end of August. And the first show in my area was the beginning of November, like right around this time. And so my groomer friend was showing, and I went along with her, and I brought Blush and did the thing, and he seemed to take to it. And so I was like, oh, all right. We basically just stayed locally because he would never have held a national title. He did finally get his regional winners title his last season, but which was the year that COVID shut everything down. And it was clear that he did not want to come back out after they opened back up. And so I was like, what am I going to do? I don't have anyone to show. And I decided, all right, I'm going to give Trino a try and see what he does. And the only question I have now is, why haven't I shown him since he was little? Because he absolutely loves it. And so now I have little ones that are coming along behind who do not absolutely love it, but I bring them anyway because I'm hoping they get adapted. In the meantime, they can hiss and growl at everyone. And it's a great time. And I've made like so many friends, and I learned to groom by grooming Plush. And when my groomer retired, she's like, here, you know how to do the thing. So have all these people to come to your house. That's how I got into it. And the more you do, the more you learn, the more you want to do is kind of how it works. And now
it's funny how that happens.
I'm on a list awaiting for the right Norwegian forest kitten to appear with the and it has to, like, I have very specific desires of what I want. I just don't want the next kitten. I have a specific breeding group I want to work with, and I have a specific, like, I know I want a male, and I have particular colors in mind, and so forth. So when my name and the right kitten come together, I'll bring him home.
When the stars align.
That's right.
Very cool. So how many cats do you have total, and how many show?
So right now I have 11. I recently lost one, and then 7 of those 11 show. Some of them are more active than others. There's 3 associations in my area. The Cat Fanciers Association is my like main thing, I guess, and Chica, which is the International Cat Association. They have tons of shows in my area, but for some reason, my cats don't do as well there. But I have some showing there, and then the Cat Fanciers Federation, I kind of consider like the JV League, and my difficult cats show there. I take them there to like rehab if they have a bad experience, or the ones that can't handle. Like it's a much smaller league, and the judges will tolerate much more, and they'll work with you to get your cats to like do the thing. And I've had a couple that have had a bad experience of one sort or another, and they've helped me get them back going. But there's a couple that I would never bring to the big leagues because they would freak out.
So you've mentioned the different organizations that do it, and like the one is your favorite, one your cats do as well at, and one is smaller and will work with you more. So what is the difference between all of them, like as far as the cat shows go? Like why would your cats not do as well at one type than another?
I think it's kind of a stylistic sort of thing, or it might just be where you start. So what you're used to, it's the way the show runs is a little different. How they score your cats is a little different, and Tika tends to the more exotic. So CFA recognizes 46 breeds plus household pet. Tika recognizes 71 cats plus household pet. So there's a lot. Yeah, so you see a lot more there, and so a lot of the more exotic type stuff shows there. So my cats aren't that exotic. They're like, I think they like short hairs, and it could just be my area. Like I've never traveled for that because I don't have to, because they have tons of shows in my area, which CFA doesn't. So I'm traveling all the time. But I have like big furry things, and they tend to like the sleek athletic things.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and it's funny to see. Like my class is anything goes, but if you compare like a Norwegian forest cat that shows in Tika and a Norwegian forest cat that shows in CFA, the standard is basically the same, but the cats look different. Not tons different, but I think the ones in CFA are more like refined looking. That Maine Coons, the Tika Maine Coons are gigantic. And they're supposed to be big cats, but they look like panthers. I mean, they're huge, 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 huge. I've never seen such big cats ever. My Shadow's dad looked like that. But so it's little things that are different. And it's so my guys are like off standard things, which some people like that, some people don't. So.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on the judges.
Yeah, and it's what they like and what they're used. I mean, sometimes you run afoul of the I don't like black cats thing. Some people don't like long hairs, and I have long hairs.
That's weird.
I've had a judge say to my face, "I'm sorry, I showed long hairs, and I'm over long hair. So if you're showing long hair, too bad." And so my cats will never go to ring again.
Wow. You'd think that the judging qualifications would be a little more objective, you know?
It's hard to opinion. Like if you're showing purebreds, there is a written standard that says the face must look exactly like this. There's 50 points on the head, and the face must be triangles, and their ears must be just like this. And the persons have to have the perfect break to make their face look flat, and they have to, they can't have double paws. That can't be certain colors or certain patterns or whatever in certain breeds. And so they are compared to a very specific standard. And you don't compete cat A against cat B. It's cat A against the standard for their breed and cat B against the standard for their breed. And whichever one is the better representative of their breed would get the higher placement.
Oh, okay.
So, in household pet, there is no written standard because anything goes. They have to be over 4 months old. If they're over 8 months old, they have to be spayed or neutered. They can't be declawed, and they have to be clean, appear to be healthy, and amiable to being handled. So, like, not by anybody.
Yeah.
And so there is no written standard. So it's really judges' preferences. And some judges love that. And they say, I get to pick what I like, and it's the only class I can do that in. And other judges say it's the hardest class to judge because there's no, like, how do you compare them? You really are kind of judging cat 1 against cat 2, which they can't do in any other class, really.
Yeah, that would be the hardest job ever. I would be like, you're all so cute. You all win.
Almost everybody says, you all have the best cat here, but this is how I see it today. And then they hang the final. But and some judges will put up with nonsense and others absolutely won't, which is why Sonny isn't not very high up the list. Because he's rude.
So speaking of like what judges will tolerate, and you mentioned the different points, like for purebred, they have to look a certain way, they have to tolerate handling. How, if one wanted to participate in a cat show, what can you do to prepare your cat for that?
So, like, our adventure cats have a leg up against a lot of cats that show up in the show hall because they're used to being in unusual situations. They meet new people. They go different places. They are, like, they're not in their house all the time. They go to ride in the car, and it's not always a horrible thing of going to the vet or whatever. So they're a little ahead of what the typical cat would be. The biggest thing is they're in like a hotel ballroom or a Grange Hall or something like that, and there are 200 other cats there. So they're with lots of other cats. There's tons of people because not only is every cat come with people, but there are people off the street that pay to get in to see all our pretty cats.
Yeah.
And it's loud. So not only are there tons of people talking and running around and cats making noise and screaming like Siamese can scream, but there's people on microphones calling cats all day long. I need to see the household pets in ring 4, and we want these numbers. And I've walked past, I don't know how many big giant speakers that are here, and all of a sudden somebody's talking really loud. And Plushy was like, whoa, what is that? Somebody dropped a chair at one, like, it was in a big wooden building, and wooden floors, wooden walls, wooden ceiling, the works, a gym floor. Somebody dropped a chair, and I was walking from the ring back to my benching area. I had Matisse on my shoulder. He was terrified. But he'd just done really well in the finals. So I'm like, oh, you're doing so well. Someone dropped a chair, and he got away from me and ran inside a set of bleachers, stopped the whole show from happening. So noise is a big thing. You don't want that to happen. There's a cat. No. There's always somebody whose cat gets out, but he was particularly egregious about it. And I didn't show him for like 3 years. He finished that show, but I didn't show him for like 3 years. I just brought him out this fall to see what he'd do, and he did okay. So he's out again. I don't think I'd bring him back to that building.
Yeah. Once you have a bad experience like that, it can be hard to recover from.
Those are the ones that I like to take to the little shows because they're not as overwhelming. And so a lot of it is expose them to everything, all the things, noise. Like I said in the thing this afternoon, was that lots of people take their cats to Home Depot or Lowe's or some big store like that to socialize them because it's big, it's wide open, and it's noisy. And that's the hardest thing, is to get them used to like the other cats around, because they're not used to
Mm.
in a cage with two strange cats on either side and like 20 cats, in the area.
Yeah. So we have our first question. Terry asks if you can talk about grooming for a cat show. She says she saw specific colored powder on a bench at a CFA show. Is that like putting makeup on your cat?
Sort of. It's typically to like enhance their color or fix their color. It also absorbs grease. Usually it's Persians. Let's just say that it's Persians, and they get like the eye stains, so they just put the powder there. I did plush once because Musette hit him in the head, and so he had a big hunk of fur missing. And so first day he got no finals, and I'm like, it's my last show of the season. Come on, I need points. And the person benching beside me said, "Oh, well, how come he's not making finals? Does he not behave?" I'm like, he's great, but he's got this big mess up in his fur. She's like, "Oh, we can fix that." And she whipped out her black chalk and showed me how to chalk it in. And he did great.
Oh my gosh.
So
wow, I had no idea.
Yeah. It can't be like really, really obvious. Like if powder comes off on the judge's hands, you're done. Like you're not making the final. It's not a disqualification offense, but they're gonna know something's wrong with your cat, so you're not making that final. But usually it's just to fix little errors like that, or to chalk out a stain, or on a white cat, or my black cat. But so it's not. Grooming is huge. That's whatever you're showing. I don't care if it's the classiest white Persian in the room or my Sunny cat, who's a red classic tabby. Like this, the ultimate in regular cat. They have to be clean. And if you show up with a cat that has not been bathed, everybody knows.
Yeah.
And someone will take you aside and say, I've been on both sides of that. They'll take you aside and show you how to comb your cat. And my Betsy she's a Maine Coon Himalayan cross, and she was not properly groomed the first couple of times we showed her. And the judge finally said something to Kimmy, and so we got her sorted. And so the last time she won the ring, and they said it's because we have her grooming sorted now. They said now you're happy because she growls, but grooming is huge. And if you show up with it clean, there's some judges that will stand up there in front of our class and say, clean means washed with water and soap. So no like waterless bath or anything. It means your cat really gets a bath.
Like a real bath. So you mentioned the loud noises, the people, the other cats, the grooming, and then handling too. Like what kind of handling is involved that your cat needs to be comfortable with?
So there's a square of cages that are like 2 feet by 2 feet square, and you put your cat there. There'll be a number up on top that's your cat's number, because the judge is supposed to not know who the cat belongs to, but of course they always do because they see us every weekend. So you put the cat in your cage, the cage with the number, and they just sit there. There's literally nothing. It's just a plastic cage. The sides are covered. The back is usually covered. But so the tops are not covered.
Uh-oh. Is Amelia frozen just for me, or are we both frozen? If you are watching, can you let me know in the comments if you can hear or see either of us? Let's see. crap. Amelia is frozen. Okay. Well, let me crap. This is what happens when you do live things sometimes. Let me private message her and see if I can get her to maybe oh, well now she's gone. Okay, well, I cannot talk about showing cats. I've never been to a cat show or anything. Bear with me, please. I'm gonna check my Instagram and see if she's messaged me, and she'll probably pop back on. But while we're waiting for her to maybe come back, has anybody that's watching, have you ever been to a cat show before? Or have you ever shown a cat before? Or maybe do you have any interest in attending or showing cats? I would love to know what kind of array of viewers we have tonight. Okay. Going to, while I'm waiting on you guys to chime in the comments, I'm gonna message Amelia. I lost you. Can you try rejoining? Okay, so I have a message to Amelia to see if she can pop back on, and hopefully she can. Let's see. So Stephanie says, I haven't been to a cat show since the 90s. I remember having a good time. I would really like to go to one. I think it would be really interesting, for one, to see a bunch of purebred cats. I mean, I don't ever see purebred cats like in real life very often. So, and I'm sure there are all kinds of sort of obscure ones at cat shows that would be really interesting to see. I find it interesting that she talked about how the different cat shows, I think she said CFA has I can't remember the number, but it was like 40 something cats they recognized, and then Tika was like 70 something. So the Tika one sounds interesting because you might get to see all those exotic breeds, which seems like it would be really interesting. Come on, Amelia. Okay. 70 says, I wouldn't have any interest in showing my own cats, but I'd like to go see one again. Yeah, I think that's where I'm at too. Sophie is I don't know, Kylo is pretty good looking. I mean, of course, I think all my cats are good looking. I think Sophie is like my prettiest cat. And I don't know how she would do since she's wobbly. That's a good question for Amelia, is how they deal with special needs cats. I'm curious to know. Okay, Terry says, I find different owners across the board as to whether or not they're open to answering questions about their cats in the show. Well, I ran into that apparently when I was trying to find guests for the agility episode last month. Okay, Amelia says her internet went out. She's trying to rejoin. So we will hopefully have Amelia back. My best to keep everyone engaged. Oh, there she is. Okay.
It died. I'm on my phone now.
Okay, hey.
That's terrible. I don't know. We're having a storm, and I guess that was more than my internet can handle. Okay, so I'm like on my phone, and we'll try to make it work.
No worries. It's not the first time I've lost a guest on an episode before, so it happens.
So we were talking about handling.
Yes.
The best thing I can say about handling is you want to be up for anything. Some judges are super gentle, and the older judges are like old school. And if your cat looks like a something, like my Persian always got the Persian handling, so he'd get like flumped on the table so they could see his fur float, and my little guy gets like hauled around and like stretched like the Aussie cats do. So it's like you never know what you're gonna get, and some judges are like, I just hope that no one bites them. They aren't, they're the old school people. I never know what they're gonna do, but sometimes it works. Like there's one lady that I really don't like the way she handles it all, but she loves Minnie, and Minnie puts up with all her crap. So.
Well, you know.
So the best thing I can say to train that is to like stretch them and drop them on tables and try to find all kinds of random people in the pet stores to handle them and take them to the vet's office and make the nurses all pass them around and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
They will get, the judges all have toys, and they try to lead them up a big scratching pole. Like that's the action shot that you have of Trino in the so they want them to scratch. They don't lose points if they don't or anything, but and in the purebred classes they want them to do it so they stretch themselves out so you can see anything that's like quote unquote wrong with them. In our class it's just fun, and the ones that do it get bonus.
That's cool.
But I see
go ahead, sorry. Oh yes.
No, I see a tail.
Delilah is here petitioning for dinner. So you've talked about how in the house cat division kind of anything goes. There's no set standard for how cats are judged. How are special needs cats viewed? Like if I brought my Sophie, for example,
they are allowed.
To a cat show.
Yep. So it used to be that CH cats would not have been allowed to show. There is a cat named Wiggles who changed it all, and Wiggles is pretty severe. He can't walk. So he just lays down. So they tried to outlaw them because a judge dropped Wiggles on the table because they didn't know he couldn't stand, and it happened twice. The same dude. You'd think they'd learn, right?
Yeah.
But so now he did actually make his title, so he is Grand Household Pet Wiggles. And he was a regional winner too, so he got all the things. He can't show anymore, but he does come as a pet me cat, and he has friends who are CH cats who, as long as they changed it so they have to be able to sit or stand independently. They don't have to be able to walk. They don't have to be able to climb the pole or anything, but they have to be able to sit or stand independently so they don't get dropped, basically, when they put them on the table. They have to, and it's the same thing for the like tripod cats. They have to be able to motor along on their own. But I have shown with tripod cats, CH cats, blind cats, cats missing an eye, anything. They just can't be declawed. Other than that, they can be missing body parts.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. That it's interesting to watch the tripod cats that most of them you would never know. They put them on the table and they look like regular cats and they climb the pole and you don't realize it until they're trying to like adjust themselves to get up on the pole that there's a paw missing somewhere. There's a giant Maine Coon that's missing a front leg, and he has a hard time with the coming in and out of the cage, so he's not super friendly about it, but he's gorgeous. But
that's cool.
Anything goes in household pets. So you'll see handicapped cats, you'll see just average cats that were sleeping on your couch that morning, just like Sunny, like you'll see cats that look like a something. Like most of mine, Trino appears to be a Maine Coon. Plush is a Persian, but they have to say he appears to be a Persian because I have no papers or anything. So they'll guess like, oh, I guess this cat has Persian in her background or something like that. You'll see
purebred cats with faults, so kinked tails, their ears aren't right, folded Scottish folds with straight ears, Rex cats with a straight coat, the wrong pattern, wrong color breed that's not accepted by CFA but is accepted by TICA, with a golden British short hair. One takes them, one doesn't. So I show with him in Household Pet in one association, and he shows in the professional classes in the other, because it's what his color is. And then mixed breeds, like my Minnie, whose mother was a Himalayan, but her daddy was a Maine Coon, and they weren't supposed to be the ones that did the thing. So there's my two. There's a Siberian Bob. His mother was a Siberian. His daddy was a Japanese bobtail.
Oh wow,
she's cute. She has a curled tail, like her tail is like a pug tail.
Aww.
But she's
I've never seen a cat with a tail like that.
So you see all kinds of interesting things. Gorgeous Aussie cat that Kimmy fell in love with, but Aussie cats are spotted, and he was a classic tabby.
Oh,
so he couldn't show in the regular class because his pattern's not accepted.
Yeah.
Oh, did I die again?
No, you're still here.
Oh, am I back?
I can hear you.
I see myself.
You're good.
Okay.
I hear you.
I don't know what's wrong with my service. Usually I don't have these problems here. That's why I came here.
It's probably the storm, if you've got a storm whirling through. Okay, so
now I can't understand.
Can you hear me?
Uh-oh. I can hear you, but it's like you're in a can. Yes.
Okay.
But you're in a can.
Okay. Well, as long as you can hear me.
Okay, now I hear you fine.
Okay. So a little while back you mentioned points, right? So I guess there's a point system to how the cats are judged and ranked.
Yes. So pedigree cats have a specific standard, and there's like so many points for the head, so many points for the tail, and every breed is different. In our class, there's nothing. You just get points for making the finals. So none of the lower like color or division or anything count for our class in CFA. It does in TICA, which is one reason I like showing there, because my bad cats get points even for the lower, like for the lower things, so they don't go home with nothing. But if they make the final, then they rank them 1 to 10 or 1 to 15, depending on how many cats. Again, go there and back. Okay. And you get a certain number of points for your placement in the final, and then it's so many points for your title. So you need 200 points to grand, and that's your first title. And then you work for your regional win or your national win. I'm crazy enough to try for a national win on Trino this year. So he has to get a minimum of 750 points in his top 75 rings. So once you hit 75 rings, they drop your low rings and keep your higher rings. So then you're changing rings. So if you have a ring that's worth 4 points because you went to a show that in Vermont that has 7 cats, and so there's not much to win because you only beat 6 cats. But the big show, and you get 12 points, you're only really getting a difference. So I have spreadsheets everywhere that says what Trino has and where he got them from, so I know. And then the other title that household pets can get is a grand household pet of distinction, which is 3 years. And each of 3 years, they have to get 250 point minimum and 30 finals. Plush has it. The others are still in progress.
That's awesome.
In TICA, it's a little different. They have 4 five titles they can earn, and you do it as fast as you can. There's not like a multi-year title. You have to get so many points, and then you're a grand, and then you get so many more points and you're a double grand, and you get so many points and you're a triple grand. And then
Wow.
when you're a quadruple grand, you have to get your supreme, which is the top title. You have to get a best cat. So Betsy's stuck because she'll never get a best cat because she growls at everybody.
Oh no. Well, maybe you'll have a judge that likes
her quad, but she'll never get the other one. Which is like, oh, just take pity on her. But Trino has it, and Minnie has it, and Plushie has it. So
yeah,
Plushie was a big surprise. I took him, and the challenge of traveling with these guys is sometimes to their detriment for showing. Like, he peed on himself in the carrier on the way to the show. So I was like, that's super. I have a wet, stinky Persian. How am I supposed to show him? And so I had to clean him up in the bathroom. And then I put him in his first ring, and she gave him the best.
Oh, nice.
So you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. So speaking of the travel, you do a lot of traveling for these cat shows. Like, I mean, you live in Maine, and I have met you in Georgia before for a cat show. So you're traveling long distances for these cat shows. What goes into the travel? What do you have to do to prepare and do these long road trips with your cats?
So it's a lot of hauling. Like I have to bring all of my grooming gear when I go these long shows. Like, usually, like, I groom them on Thursday night or Friday morning, and we leave on Friday. But obviously, if I'm going from Maine to Georgia, and we took some stops along the way, so that we were gone for 12 days. So they got groomed in the bathroom in the hotel, and that was an experience. So I had to bring all of my grooming gear, and we have the pop-up setups to put them in for their benching setups. You can borrow a cage. Like, they'll give you, most shows have a metal cage that you can use. And some people that travel don't bring their own cage. They'll just use the cage they give you. But mine hate coming out of the doors because they're small, and the girls are difficult. So I want a big door to get them out of. And so I like my pop-ups. So plus I buckle my pop-up into my back seat, and that's how they travel. I just chuck all 4 of them in there. That's how it works. But yeah, you have to bring everything. Unless you want to borrow a cage, they don't give you anything. You have to haul it all. So they know the drill now. I put a pop-up up in the back seat. All 4 of them go in there. There's a litter box in there. They fight over who's going to sit where. Then that's how it goes. But it's I've fished a lot of cats out of a lot of beds. Like, they go, and the travel would be pretty much the same as traveling for any kind of adventure you do over the road.
Yeah.
We have our strollers, we have our backpacks, we haul them around.
Yeah, those are lifesavers for sure when you're traveling with a cat. Having a stroller, especially, I bet you can fit maybe more than one cat in your stroller. So that makes it easier when you're moving around with more.
I have had some interesting experiences with multiple cats in my stroller where they decide that is really not a fun idea, and it's usually Minnie, and she'll take a punch at somebody else, and she and Sonny will have a battle, and then I'm grabbing somebody out and stuffing them in a backpack. Or we had them have a battle royale in the show hall because I was rolling them up to the judge was in the room next door to us, and so I had to roll them from one place to the other, and Kimmy was clerking, so I had all of the cats, and I was trying to move all 4 of them at once, which was dumb. And she took offense to the fact that anybody was in her airspace, and three of them thought that having a fight was a really good time. And everybody was freaking out because my stroller became a rolling ball of fur. But they were fine. They just get mad.
Yeah.
She doesn't handle people in her airspace too well, and so she had a bad experience in an over-decorated show hall that scared, like, they had tons of things on the post, and it was a regional show, and it was decorated to the nines, and everybody had on funny hats and costumes, and she freaked out. And ever since then, she's been more high maintenance, and it's like, don't mess with me or I'm going to mess with you, and I'm not. So she might be retiring or at least taking some time off until she gets over it.
Yeah. Question. Two questions actually from our viewers. Stephanie would like to know, if you are showing a cat, does the organization require proof of vaccinations?
You have to have your rabies paperwork on you. So if your cat should bite someone, you have to prove it on the spot. Other than that, it is assumed, like they suggest, it's some shows are vetted. It usually happens overseas, not in the US. I've never encountered it. I've seen people have to get their paperwork out after their cat bites somebody, but usually you're assumed to be good owners and to know what you're doing. And they suggest you have to have your rabies vaccination, and anything else is between you and your vet, but they suggest that you be fully vaccinated, obviously.
Yeah.
But
okay. Stephanie is also wondering about etiquette for viewers who come to watch a cat show.
There is a handout, and there's a website that they give you when you buy your ticket to get in. They give you the handout that tells you how you're supposed to behave, and like, don't let your little kids run around screaming out, but they do anyway, because they're kids and it's fun and exciting, and they are seeing cats that they've never seen before, and they want to pet everything in sight, and most people don't want them spectators to pet their cat. There are usually cats that are there as pet me cats, so you can direct the screaming little kids to the cats with the yellow flags that say pet me cat, and they're allowed to play with them. I usually let them play with mine. I make them sanitize their hands first, and then I let them, because I don't have white Persians with beautiful grooming coats. I have household pets, and Trina wants everybody to play with them anyway. So the other thing is, people are not, you don't open a cage, you don't touch a cat without permission. Certain areas you can't go, like if you're sitting and watching a judging ring, you have to stay in the chairs. You can't walk up to the cages where the cats are. Sometimes people are just like, oh, hey, I'm gonna walk right up there, and the judge is like, oh, no, please have a seat. Because then you're just in the way, and no one could move. It's tight behind the judging table, so it's really just supposed to be the judge back there, and when we're putting our cats in and out. But mostly it's basic common sense. Like, if you don't touch what's not yours, and you are polite, and most people will welcome questions. Like, I love it when people want to know how they can bring their cat to show. Like, that's the best, like, or they say, oh, my cat would never do that. Like, well, you'd be surprised.
So on that note, actually, Terry mentioned that she's been to cat shows before, and that she's run into different owners across the board as to whether or not they're open to answering questions about their cats in the show. So I guess some people are like kind of standoffish and not as friendly.
Yeah, some people. So this is like super stereotypical, but the people who've been doing this for a really long time and who have the really, really fancy cats are the ones who won't talk to you. So usually if you talk to somebody who's on the younger side, they're going to be friendlier. And don't talk to the Persian people. Like, they got a lot going on. It takes a lot to get those Persians ready for show. And some people are like, will tell you what they're doing, and others like won't. I mean, I wanted help knowing how do I groom my household pet Persian, and the guy I asked was like, lots of drying. Like, basically, he was like, get away from me. But but I get it, because it's a lot. It's a lot of work to get, like, especially if you have a top quality cat and you're chasing titles and you really want the points and you really want your cat to look the very, very best, and you don't want to be running, or you don't want to miss a ring because you're talking to a spectator and they've called your number and you don't hear them, and pretty soon they're saying, this is your final call if you're number 33, and you better show up or you're not making the final.
Yeah.
But I think it's getting better. Like, that used to be the reputation that everybody was mean and snotty and they wouldn't talk to you. I think the spectators are what make the show go. If you don't have a good set of spectators, then to pay to get in, then the show isn't making any money and they're not going to be there next year. So it behooves us that are exhibiting to be able to talk to the people and not be rude.
Yeah, makes sense. So one final question: if someone wanted to get involved in cat shows and showing their cats, what would their first steps be?
The first thing you need to do is register your cat with the association that you want to show in. So whoever's putting the show on in your area, you go to their website and it'll say register my household pet or register my cat, and you sign them up, and it's cheap. It's like $15 or something to register them, and then you get a number, and that's your entry number. So then you enter the show, and you put down like their name and their birthday and their color. If you don't know their colors, someone will help you figure that out. And if you get it wrong, all of the judges will argue for 2 days over what color your cat is until they get it straightened out. No one knows if my Trino is classic or mackerel. So he's been both. And then there are mentors, like there's a box you can check on the form that when you enter the show that says this is my first show, and then they'll sit you next to somebody like me who will help get you through the day with minimal stress and hassle. You have to have your own cage curtains, even if you use their cages, which can be as simple as towels. I did my first season with fleece blankets thrown over the sides of the cage. You have to be able to cover the back, the two sides, and the top, so just so the cats don't see their neighbors. If they're going to tell you, do you want to rent the extra half cage? If you're using their cage, yes, you want to rent the extra half cage. Otherwise, you have a 22-inch square space, and there may be another cat next to you, and that's tight quarters. And it also only gives you that half of the cage below to keep all your stuff that you've dragged along. So nobody does that, but I've seen it happen where people get mad that they're charged for the extra half cage, but then no one is there because no one else wants to do that. So they think they can just stick their stuff all over there, but you can't. You can use what you pay for. And then it's basically you bring your clean, well-groomed cat and keep him in his space. And when they call your number, you carry him up there and put him in the cage under his number and hope he's nice. And usually if you're a first timer, if you tell the ring clerks, this is my cat's first time, they're more tolerant of whatever might happen, because I have a runner and I will warn everybody, he is a huge flight risk. Do not take your hand off this cat. And so they know that if they give him the opportunity, he will leave.
Yeah.
So, and they'll know, because usually you can tell because the first timers are scared, and they'll ask, if your cat is really like terrified, they'll say, "Is this his first show?" Then you get you get credit for being there, and they'll gentle them along and try to make it a positive experience, because then you'll come back.
Yeah,
And it
makes sense.
should be fun. Like, I mean, my girls don't love it, but they don't really hate it either. Like, if they get to the point that they hate it, I let them retire. But it should be fun. And I have to say that the cats that I've shown are the cats that I have the best relationship with. It's like anything else that you do with your cat. It's an activity, and it builds a relationship between you that you don't have with a cat that you're not traveling with, and you're not showing them or taking them out camping or whatever. It's it's just like, it's the same benefit as it is if you take your cat kayaking. It's something that you do together.
Yeah, I love that point, because I mean, that's kind of the heart of everything that we're all here for, right? Is to build that bond and build that sense of trust, and all these extra activities we do with our cats is meant to do that.
Yeah. And it's amazing what your cats will do when you have that. Like, Minnie's not happy in the show hall, but she'll do it because I ask, and Plushie was the same way. I adopted Plushie the end of August, and I showed him in his first show the first week in November. And he had a very, very traumatic background before I got him. And I don't think that we really gelled as a pair until I had taken him to a couple of shows, because then he knew that no matter what happened, I was going to pick him up. I was going to bring him home. We were sticking together, whatever happened. And because he was an extreme rescue. He almost starved to death in a foreclosure before I got him.
Yeah.
So it really, I can almost say to the day, like, this is the day when he finally believed me that, he was hanging with me forever, and that we were going to do the things together. And I really think what happened was because we showed him. I traveled all over the country with him.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap things up. For those that are watching or listening, if you would like to see more of Amelia and her cats, you can check out her website, lifeandcats.com. She has really great articles on cat health topics and grooming, and even adventuring topics. Covers the gamut of cat topics. They're really well written educational pieces. So check her out on her website, and then on Instagram and Facebook you can find her at Life and Cats. And so give her a follow. And if you have any,
and if you want
any
more information about like how to get started, and you want to try it out or whatever, you want to know like where to check it out online or whatever, just let me know, and I can send you links and tell you where the shows are in your area.
Yeah, I know. I'm definitely going to be checking the calendar to see when the next Georgia, I'm assuming Atlanta is probably where they are. So I'm going to have to see when the next one is.
Yep. It's the first weekend in November. We're not coming this year because we're going to Knoxville, but it's the second and third, or third and fourth, or whatever that weekend is.
Okay. Well, I'll see if I can make that. But thank you, Amelia, for being here tonight, for sharing all of your expertise with us, and thank you, viewers, for hanging out. That's it.
I apologize
tonight.
for whatever happened to my internet.
No worries. It happens. That's the beauty of live things.
Yep.
Well, that's it for tonight, everybody. If you have any more questions or want to continue any discussions, be sure to join my Facebook group, KittyCatGO Adventure Team. And then mark your calendars for the next episode of KittyCatGO Live, which will be Wednesday, November 9th at 8 p.m. Eastern. I will be chatting with a representative from Tick Check, which is a company that does testing on ticks to find out if they are carrying diseases. So they're going to be sharing about tick safety and prevention and tick-borne diseases and the safety precautions we can take as we're outside with our cats to prevent ticks. Not necessarily the most fun topic, but it's definitely an important one. So I'm looking forward to learning more about that with you all. So mark those calendars. And then last but not least, be sure to hit the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube or the follow button if you're watching on Facebook so you can keep up with future episodes and happenings. Thanks for hanging with us tonight. I hope you learned something new and had some fun. Happy adventuring, everybody.